want your business to go to another level. You must try to learn and hear something new. So make the change today. So don't procrastinate and see your business grow and change. So check out Testing Results, yeah, with Tony Harris Taylor. Tony Harris Taylor. Testing Results, oh yeah, with Tony Harris Taylor. Yeah.
Welcome to the Drastic Franchise Connector Show. My name is Tony Harris Taylor, and I am the CEO and founder of Drastic Results Marketing and Sales Coaching, where I work with Zors to teach their Z's how to show up, be up, follow up so they can blow up their business. In other words, I teach networking and local marketing strategies. I'm also a franchisee with Network in Action, the executive director of the newly formed Multicultural Franchise Connectors, and a franchise consultant and coach with Drastic Franchise Matchmakers. Thanks for joining us on today's show. Today, we're talking to the ladies. Men, you can stay, but you'll get a earful and peek behind the curtain. We are talking to the ladies today. My guest is one of my clients, coaching clients, Pam Thomas. And Pam is not in the franchise space yet, but she has some wisdom around women don't retire, especially women of color. And so she'll tell you more about what that means. But as she's talking to me about this concept, women don't retire, it's true. We transition. We may leave our jobs and we transition into caregiver because, we got to take care of mama and daddy. We got to take care of the children. So we never really get the luxury of retirement. But here's the other thing. My mother is 78 years old and she still works every day. She goes and she has a meaningful job for her. My mama's a technologist, y'all. So the kids be coming to her at her job asking about technology. But she always told me when I was younger, I'm never going to retire. And I didn't believe her. And here she is still working, feeling fulfilled, feeling needed, and really like, I got to keep my brain busy. What else would I be doing if I wasn't retired, or if I did retire? So I respect that. But that is the mentality of a lot of women. So if you are a woman listening and you don't think you're going to retire, what can you do? Well, it might be time to follow your dreams, the ones you put off, taking care of family. It might be time to explore your passions. And it also could be time for you to buy a franchise. I had to get that in there. Get that in there. You might be able to buy a franchise that will help you to fulfill your dreams, feel needed, feel loved, feel wanted, and feel accomplished. So when we come back, we're going to hear from my guest, my client. She's an NIA member and a coaching client, Pam Thomas, on this whole premise around women don't retire. We'll be right back. We are back with my guest, Miss Pam Thomas, the author of Women Don't Retire. So, Pam, in your own words, introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Pam Thomas. I'm a client of Miss Tony Harris Taylor. First of all, foremost, no, I'm actually a catalyst and a restorative wellness educator. And part of my life and passion is about empowering people to live their best life by helping them dig deep, find those parts of themselves that they maybe don't want to see, but can transform into building the life of their dreams. And so I just enjoy spending time with folks like you and getting the opportunity to work with you on multiple levels. You're my coach, but you're also my friend. You're my mentor. We do networking together and all the good stuff. So I appreciate you letting me share a little space with you on the internet.
Well, I appreciate you saying yes, but I got to know more about this women don't retire premise. What is that? I mean, I kind of said it, but what is that all about really? And why did you decide to put it in a book?
Yeah, well, the story starts about 25 years ago when I walked away from my corporate/organizational career. And it was partially by choice and partially not, but I knew I was like the situation wasn't fitting and feeling good. And so the situation got worse and I decided that was it and I left. And I've always been kind of a marching to my own beat kind of person. I never been in the in crowd because I'm always doing my own thing. And I was always okay with that. But the thing about being in an organization is that frequently you have to put aside parts of yourself to fit into the culture. And so for me, that's always been challenging. And it got to be more than I was willing to take after a while. And so I walked away. And the thing is what you fail to realize is when you walk away from your corporate that organizational thing, you all of a sudden have to pick up all these things you didn't know all these things that happened around you. You lose your network of folks that you used to. Business friends can be friends, but a lot of times it's based on the context. Correct. And so all of a sudden everything changed. And this is the book that I wish I had when that happened 25 years ago, because I thought I was alone and it was a challenging time. And I'll tell you the truth. I was like, nobody understands your family's like, what Correct. In the world are you doing? Correct. So that's the genesis of the whole thing. And the idea is that if you, instead of trying to grab hold of something that you know during these spaces where you're all of a sudden, the rug's been pulled out from underneath you, instead of trying to grab something tight that you know, if you take a beat, sink into that sacred pause for a moment and wait for some answers, you can build some powerful things in your life. So, and the other part of the premise is, of course, that we really, as women of color in particular, we don't retire. We have mothers and fathers, we have even grandparents sometimes, we have children and grandchildren and spouses and all of those things. We have people, we tend to approach things from the standpoint of caretaking big groups of people. So you can do things for yourself and hold space for your relationships too, so for those who want to.
Give us a tip on how to do that. Like, we're trying to please, imagine you are retirement age, so let's say 62, and you're still trying to please everybody.
Yeah.
Except for yourself. I had a coaching client this week say to me, "You'll be so proud of me. I told my daughter I couldn't babysit." That's a big revelation. It should be that you are able to say no. You are able to choose you, even at 60 something.
Yes.
So why do you think, or what is a tip to help these women to be able to choose them first, finally?
Well, you know what? Part of the reason most of us focus so much on other people is because we haven't actually spent enough time with ourselves to know who we are and what we want.
Ooh, that's
I want to pause for one moment there, because that's the truth.
Repeat that,
Science,
please.
yeah.
Repeat it.
Most of the time, the reason that we're so focused on the other people around us is because we haven't taken a moment with ourselves to pause. I mentioned the pause before, and get to know who we are and what we want.
Correct.
And frequently we feel like there's some yearning or something that doesn't feel right in us, and we're, sometimes we blame it on the other people, but it's significantly starts with us making a choice to start to listen within. Our prayer time, our meditation time, all those things, when you take those moments, that's the time when you start to have those conversations with yourself and with the divine, whatever your divine is. Doesn't matter what it is, there's conversations to be had. And that's the time when your purpose and your passion start to bubble up, and you can hear, I remember when I was a kid, I wanted to be a doctor. I did. I'm telling you my story. I wanted to be a doctor. My dad was a doctor, and I was like, and I had a whole plan, pathologist, the whole deal. And in the interim, I got turned completely off from medical school. And I now am working in wellness.
Yeah.
Much to my surprise, I didn't make a plan particularly, but because I took that time and sunk deep, all of a sudden, I'm not a doctor, but boy, am I helping people get well in their bodies on some level. So, we can find our way back to these things that as children, we think don't sound like a realistic thing, or maybe they did, but we missed it.
Well, and then, as I mentioned in the monologue, it might be time to start a business, buy a franchise, go in with what you want versus what everyone else wants. Go ahead and say more about that.
Yeah, no, entrepreneurship is one of the amazing opportunities that come to a lot of people. Not everyone, it's not for everyone. So, you have to do the deep dive first so that you're clear about what it is you actually want to do. Because entrepreneurship, you say this all the time, it's not for those who don't have some stick-to-itiveness. It is the most amazing journey ever. And it is a personal growth tool, to say the least. I'm laughing because I have learned some of my greatest life lessons being an entrepreneur, and still learning them, by the way. I've been doing it for a while, and I'm still learning.
You get to know yourself really well
you
when you become an entrepreneur.
Yes, you do. It hits you right smack in your face.
Correct.
And so, which is not a bad thing, but you have to understand that entrepreneurship it's not like just you're going to be working 4 hours. I know there's a book called The 4-Hour Work Week. Yeah, it takes a minute to get yourself in that position. Let me just be clear. That's not a realistic thing out of the box. It may happen, but and I'm not opposed to it, and more power to you if you can figure it out. But that's not how most of us navigate this journey. And so entrepreneurship is an amazing opportunity, though, because for those of us who really want to leave a legacy, this is one of the most important parts of being at this. And it's actually for anybody who's transitioning into something where they have more control. It's not just for seniors, but of course, seniors, I don't call myself a senior. I call myself those of us with a lot of wisdom. But those of us with wisdom aren't the only ones who can start this, because I'm seeing younger and younger women making the transition. So I want to encourage everybody to, if you're there, you're there. It doesn't matter what your age is.
So younger women, they saw us, right? Or they saw I've always been an entrepreneur for the most part.
Yeah.
But they saw their mothers work to the bone, and they're like, that's not going to be me. And so they are choosing themselves earlier than we did. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about networking and taking drastic steps. Yeah. We'll be right back with my guest, Pam Thomas.
Another government job or your own business. Decisions. Jobs are no longer secure. This is the reason you should consider your own business. Start from scratch Risky. Franchising gives you a business with a blueprint and 8 out of 10 are successful. Plus, 63% aren't food businesses. Some are even home-based. Options are power. Download your free guide and see if franchising is your next move.
We're back with my guest, Pam Thomas, who is telling us that women don't retire, and we probably shouldn't, but we should take care of ourselves and don't wait to retirement to do that. So, Pam, let's talk about networking.
Yes.
How has networking benefited you in business and life?
And life. Yes, thank you for saying that, because that's really, really important. The thing is that I'm gonna tell my dirty laundry here, which is that I thought I hated networking a couple years ago, and that's mostly because of the way I was introduced to the concept of networking. And since a couple of years ago, somebody said to me that networking is about giving and sharing, and introduced me to this book called The Go-Givers. And it changed my life, because really you can't have a business, but really the truth is you really won't live a fulfilled life unless you know how to network. Now, it doesn't have to be a structured thing.
Correct.
But you need to have the skills to meet people, share what you do, and listen to them. The big thing about the networking thing, and I always love hearing people's stories. So for me, it turned out to be really easy once I got the giving and sharing part, because instead of like selling, which is what people had taught me to do. And it's, I know part of it ends up being selling, but you build relationships first before you sell. And I know this is your mantra all the time in everything I've been in you with. And I want to ask you some pointers, if you don't mind, before we leave, about how you recommend people who are transitioning like that to network, because it's a little different than networking for business. But just to say, networking's changed my life. I'm in love with it now. Like, I cannot wait to network with people and figure out who I know that I can connect to somebody else. It's the best thing ever.
Okay, so let's answer that question. Thank you for your insights and all regurgitating everything I teach. I love that.
Yeah.
So how do you network when you're in transition? Is that what I heard?
That's what I want you to talk. That's what I want you to put in my book too. But
okay.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, and I'll put that in the book. Yes. So when you are in a transition, whether it is pre-retirement, whether you just lost your job and you're trying to figure out what to do next, let me just tell you, it was me showing up when I was in a state of transition that led me to franchising.
Okay.
So the best advice I have is show up even when you don't know why.
And when you don't feel like it too.
And even when you don't feel like it. And even when you're in this flux, like you can't figure it out on your own. That's what I want you to hear. You can't figure it out on your own. So if you're in a transition and you're trying to figure out which way do I go, keep showing up. Keep going. You're going to meet someone like I met Helen that will change the trajectory of your life.
Yeah.
But that's the time most people isolate. I'm going to wait till I figure it out. Then when I figure it out, I'm going to show up and then I can tell everybody what I'm doing. No. And it's okay that when you show up and you meet people, you say, you know what, I'm in transition. I don't know what I want to do. and then you can throw out a couple things that you've been thinking about. And I'm going to tell you every single time, somebody there knows somebody, knows something that will keep you moving in the right direction. So that's my best advice.
Wiser words have not been said. Honestly, I can't tell you, and beyond that, I have gotten, the only way I got clear about my offers, the only way I got clear about my programs was talking to other people. That's how you do your market research, and you make connections that can build your business. But it's how you do market research too. You get out and just talk to people. Correct. And it's a very, very powerful thing.
So I'm going to ask the next question. What's the biggest drastic step you've ever taken?
Oh, goodness. My life is drastic steps. Let me be clear. I always am out there doing wild and crazy things. Probably the biggest one, actually, let me say the one that had the most impact on my life was the one I just shared with you, which is completely leaving my corporate situation. It was huge. Yes. But the other big drastic thing that I did was completely walk away from the workplace in my 30s and go to seminary. It was kind of a whole, it was a beautiful thing. You learn to appreciate school in a different way when you come to it with full intention, when you have an intention going in. Sometimes with college, we're not sure why we're going or all that kind of stuff. When I had the opportunity to really explore in a way that I hadn't in my adult life, it was kind of a beautiful experience. Yeah, that was a pretty drastic one too.
Okay. All right. So quitting your job, your corporate job, going in a whole different direction than your parents thought you should go or what they wanted you to do is very, very drastic. But when you get out of your way, get out of your comfort zone, things start to just kind of reveal themselves.
Yes, they do.
And the key is you just have to keep moving forward. Well, Pam, I'm excited to contribute a sentence to your book. I'm excited that you are releasing this book. So many women need to hear it. Tell people how to get in touch with you.
Well, I can be reached at, strangely enough, PamelaJThomas.com. It's fairly straightforward. All of my contact details are there. You can schedule a call. You can get on the email list, whichever way is your way in. But there's also a website just to be on the wait list for the book, WomenDon'tRetire.com. WomenDon'tRetire.com. I think she dropped it below. And I would love to connect with you all. We are going to build a community around this idea. And so get on the wait list, get your copy, stay tuned, and we're going to navigate all these transitions. We're in a time of great transition at the moment, bigger than we probably have seen in our lifetimes for a lot of us. Sure. And this is a time for us to connect, not isolate. I'm glad you said that. That's so important. Connect, not isolate, so that we can empower each other to take our next steps forward together.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Pam. We're going to take a quick break and I'll be back with my final thoughts. Bye.
If you think franchising isn't for you, think again. Here's how Multicultural Franchise Connectors is changing the game. At Multicultural Franchise Connectors, we believe in the power of diversity to transform the franchising industry. Our mission? To empower underserved multicultural communities with the knowledge, resources, and connections they need to confidently explore franchising opportunities. Did you know that less than 15% of franchisees are minority-owned? But we're not stopping there. MFC's 4 pillars: guide successful business owners in franchising their operations, help potential franchisees interested in purchasing franchise businesses, support business owners to supply their services to franchises, or assist individuals to secure employment opportunities within franchise corporate offices. MFC is designed to break down barriers and open doors. Through comprehensive workshops, mentorship programs, networking events, and expert consultations, we're paving pathways to economic empowerment and community growth. And come 2027, we'll be offering grants to help you secure the financial support you need. Join us today and become part of a thriving multicultural franchise community. Visit multiculturalfranchise.org for more information empower your future, empower your community. Together, we're making franchising dreams a reality.
What a powerful conversation. Women don't retire. So, since you're not going to retire anyway, you might as well do something useful, and maybe franchising might be for you. So, I'm going to offer you the opportunity to download my new ebook, Take Control, your guide to owning a franchise and building your future. You can get it from drasticfranchise.com. Download the ebook, get on my calendar. Let's talk about where you can play in franchising, turning your business into a franchise, buying a franchise that's a great companion to what you're already doing, supplying your services to franchising, or maybe you might want to work at a franchise brand. I am so grateful to have you view. Please share. Sharing is caring. And we will see you next week on the Drastic Franchise Connector Show. This is Tony Harris Taylor saying take a drastic step today for a fantastic tomorrow. And we'll see you next week.